Hello and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy Podcast, episode 452 for the week of May 12th, I guess. Yeah, May 12th, that sounds right, 2020. My name is Ryan Higgins, who's here with me this week.
Brock Sager.
Kevin.
Tobete.
That's closer than normal.
And Charlie.
Hey, we almost did that the correct way. Look at that. Look at us. Look at us.
That would be a good podcast trivia question, is when the last time there's been a completely normal intro with all of these people together.
Never.
It has to have happened before.
Just Toby was too tired that day, and he couldn't think of anything. So
he was laying down on the floor in the shop.
So before we get into some news, a couple things. We'll talk about a few things. First, California has officially entered Phase 2 of its reopening plans. The early parts of Phase 2, which means retail stores of where there is limited contact and they're able to have either curbside pickup or a front door pickup, like us, are now able to open. So as of Monday, Comics Conspiracy is now open. You cannot enter the store. You cannot come in. We have it barricaded, at the front. We moved the register up front and everything. But if you have purchased comics online, or if you want to purchase something online, you can come down to the store. We do highly suggest you wear masks and all that stuff. I guess we don't require it, but the employees will all be wearing masks. And yeah, new comics are shipping next week for the bigger actual shipment. So I put some tables in the front, and we're gonna try to find a way to actually have like a new release wall. We're gonna have a credit card machine up front. We short of letting people in the store, we're gonna be there 6 days a week. And, we recommend people pick up stuff on the website because that's all the stock that's there. To make it easy, we can prep everything for you so you're not sitting around waiting. If you try to come down on a Wednesday, there may be some people there. I have no idea. I don't know how many people are going to start coming. I don't have any clue. But, yeah. So this is the start. We'll see if it lasts. We'll see if things get bad and we're forced to close again. So be it. If California stays good and we reopen, like actual open, that'd be pretty cool too. I don't want to risk myself or my employees or my customers, so I don't want to rush into this. But Bay Area seems to have been things are settling down a little bit. I don't know if you guys look at the numbers, but it looks like we're approaching some level of control here. So we'll see.
That's all we can really do.
Yeah. I know LA County just got pushed back like pretty far. LA's still having some trouble.
Yeah.
It clearly, if the Bay Area opens up and suddenly everyone from the Bay starts heading down to LA, like, fuck, we're just going to get, it's not like, it's just going to get bad again here. I'm sure San Francisco is going to be longer, but South Bay seems to have a little bit of control over stuff. Santa Clara County's had a couple days of no deaths. Very, very, very few new infections. So,
well, I know at the beginning our county was very on top of it. Like
we were the first one that hit.
So,
yeah.
But they were contact tracing. They were quarantining. Like they were trying to limit the spread as much as possible.
Yeah. I don't know what the plan is. It just happens pretty quickly, so we could be completely open next Wednesday. I don't know, or we could be completely shut down in 2 weeks. We'll find out. But there are some parts of the country that a lot of states are starting to open back up. Whether this should be or not, it's another story. We'll leave that to my Twitter account, but At least the Bay Area is get a little under control. So we'll see. Masks on, hand sanitizer, trying to stay safe. So fingers crossed. But that's good. New comics start shipping, and it's good timing for the industry if a lot of stores are going to be able to start opening. But be safe. If you're heading out to your local shop, just wear a mask, please, for the employees and for your own health.
Have you seen what the requirements are for restaurants?
For here?
Yeah.
Well, they're not open. Restaurants aren't open here yet.
No, they have. They've gotten instructions for when they open for them to potentially have people dine in.
I'm not sure it's like 25% capacity or something like that.
Yeah, it's ridiculously reduced capacity, and then they also have to monitor if people have symptoms.
Yeah, well, that's going to be everywhere. Like, yeah, if people are sick, they're not going to, even if they don't have COVID, I mean, they're not going to be able to, they're like, look, sorry, if you're sick, you can't come in. That's going to be every place.
God,
if someone's coming into my store hacking up, I'm going to be like, dude, sorry, man, you can't come in here. Toby.
If they have what if they have an axe?
Well, then I guess if they have an axe, they can go wherever they want. So
exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, obviously, plenty of people have the virus without
knowing it,
without having any symptoms. So, but yeah, if you're sick, you should not be out buying comic books or doing whatever you're doing. So.
But you can still order them to have them shipped to you.
You can. We have been doing a lot of that. So, but people have been coming down to pick up. So I think a lot of people do like to come down and talk shop. Obviously, that's not going to be happening as much. When no one's there, that's okay. Like our friend Lane came down and we talked for like 20 minutes. That's fine. Socially distant with masks on at the register, blocking him from entering the store. So everything's normal. But yeah, we just
No, Ryan, everything's not normal.
Well, a lot of those normal Wednesday things of just people hanging out at the shop is not going to happen. Not for a while. So.
You need to start having the Wednesday Zoom meets. Just a bunch of Zooming.
Well, now we're going to be at the store, so we're going to have people there. So, yeah. So that's that.
Other than Absolute Day Tripper, is there anything?
Thank you, Charlie.
You got stuff. You got stuff in your box. You got stuff in there, Charlie.
I know I have stuff in there. I'm just wondering, is there anything other than Absolute Day Tripper that anybody's like, thank God this finally came out?
I was excited for that Jonah Hex omnibus.
Yeah,
I'm glad that finally came out.
The weird Western Tales.
Yeah, that's great.
That was really nice. I got that one. Well,
this is actually a great segue into our other kind of pre-news topic tonight, and that is the coronavirus has caused a lot of people to be home more than they normally are, and people will get bored and they start home improvement projects, or in our case, nerd collecting projects. And I think all of us, in some fashion, have been doing this to some degree. Me and Toby have had a lot of conversations over the last few weeks. Toby has gone absolutely off the deep end. Now, there's a little bit of Charlie's been, instigating him a little bit here, because we know Charlie's a big pusher.
Charlie.
He just wants to get more people on that omnibus bandwagon. But I want to hear... So, Toby and Charlie, let's hear about Kevin, you have something. I want to hear that.
Charlie's been good. Charlie's actually been good. He's actually been also trying to keep me sane. So Charlie is. At least I don't think he's affected, unless you know something about Charlie that I don't, which is quite possible.
Well, before you got onto the podcast, he was talking about a lot of packages coming from Amazon.
Oh, okay. So maybe he's into some other stuff. I don't know.
That's not new. That's not new.
From me?
That's normal stuff that we need.
Okay.
Like we got a big box of paper towels the other day. I'm like, well, I guess Nadia finally got an order for that.
But Charlie, you've learned to.
Charlie has self-control. I think he has the best self-control out of all of us. I think
that's what I was saying. Toby, you have
no control.
You've been on the epic bandwagon and the omnibus bandwagon, but really the epic bandwagon.
A little bit of both. So I tend to. I mean, it's bad. I think all my life I have a collecting problem, and I like everything. And I think when I can when I'm busy, I kind of do not think about it. Hence why I like cons, I usually have the phrase called "fuck it, it's a con," which is when I hit the I can no longer control it phase. But usually I'm so busy that I just kind of forget about things. Like this is how I kind of lose track of a lot of these books. Like I'm on it. But as I get busy, I just, it's not on my mind anymore. I mean, it's like in the back of the head. And so I kind of just lose track of a lot of things. But being stuck at home and actually starting to organize the bookshelves, I'm like, I never picked that up. And, I didn't know there was an omnibus for this. These epics are really nice. I only picked up 1 or 2 of these, but maybe I should collect more of these. And then, goddamn, there's a lot of them out already. And goddamn, there's a lot of them out of print. I wonder if I could still get them at retail. Wait a minute, Ryan still has a few of these. Let me get them from Ryan. And it just kind of spirals down. I started making lists about which epics collect which things, which omnibuses I really want in omnibus, which ones I want in epic formats. And then, of course, with this the situation we're in, a lot of the other stores, and this is not me cheating on Ryan, it's just some of these deals are so good. Like, a lot of these other stores are having, like, these used book sales, or they post stuff on Instagram for, like, special deals and so on. So, started, like, cruising through those, and I'm like, there's the Black Panthers I never picked up. And then Ryan goes and tells me, oh, yeah, one of them's out of print and super expensive. I'm like, fucking great. There goes another one I need to pick up.
There's always one that's out of print. That's just how this works now.
Yeah. Luckily, Travis over at Santa Cruz, not Santa Cruz, Salinas had one for me, so I bought one from him. But yeah, so between...
So what you're saying, Toby, is you like the hub now.
No, I actually hate the hub even more now. Do you know how many orders I placed where they just, like, didn't reply to me, and then eventually I just got a refund because they didn't fucking have the book? And how many people have written me back going, oh, we actually don't have that, I'm sorry. I'm like, bullshit. You fucking looked that shit up on eBay and then realized you don't actually want to sell it to me, asshole. I mean, look, some stores probably are just bad at keeping inventory, and some stores legitimately like, look, we fucked up, we don't have it. Sure, that, happens, but tiny bit of me thinks that some stores that go look it up going, why is this guy from California trying to buy a book from us at retail price and willing to pay shipping, and then they go, oh, this book is going for $120 on eBay. Oh, no, we don't have this book anymore.
Hey, I told the hub guys, I was like, look, if you get an order from Toby, he's not a flipper. These are for him, so.
Yeah.
I got your back.
I'm just super behind on a lot of this stuff, so. But yeah, so I've made my list of really hard out-of-print epics. I've made my list of out-of-print epics but still available at Ryan, so I made a kind of a list of which ones I'm getting each week from Ryan to keep myself composed and in control, because otherwise because that first 2 weeks I came in, I was just like, I'm buying this pile, and then, so when, and when you're sitting at home, and you start getting these deals, they don't seem like anything, right? And then they start coming in, I'm like, that's a lot of books. I started making stacks, so I'm like, that's a lot of books. And then I was like, maybe I should document this and see how much I've been spending. And then I was like, it's a little more than I thought what it was. I probably should stop. This is not good. So I just kind of went cold turkey. I stopped being on the boards and stopped looking. I don't, the list I made that you have in the shop, I made myself a list saying, look, I'm getting this week. And I planned out like the next 10 weeks worth. And I was like, look, 1 week I'll buy one and I'll put another one away, so it's fair for anybody else that's coming into the store to get it. So I'm not just putting like 20 books away, right? so I'm staying fair to everybody else. But yeah, no, I mean, then of course, then I start looking at mangas. I'm like, wait, I never finished this series. I never finished that one. I started looking at people's collections on YouTube. It's a really, really bad downward spiral.
See, with the trades, with the epics, I only did like key ones that I really wanted, and I could see myself expanding eventually, but some of those are 30+ volume series, so FF, Spider-Man, they're big collections. God knows what they're going to do with X-Men, because that's going to go a lot longer. There's so many books that's going to tie into. So those later versions, those later epics are going to get pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't go all in, but our friend Miguel has a full collection of everyone except for Star Wars and Conan. He has all the epic collections so far, and he's been getting them from me. And
I do all the Star Wars.
yeah. So there's a lot, and that's a big collection. That's going to be
my original
500 books by the end.
My original.
Well, what are the Masterworks up to now? They're up to. Are they up to 4 or something? I don't remember.
Wow.
The numbered Marvel Masterworks? There's so many of them.
Yeah. I mean, look, the problem with the epics is that's my favorite way to read them. No offense to Charlie. I know you love your epics. I love them too. But just for a reading factor, I think the epics are my favorite way of reading the books. I mean, I love the omnibus, don't get me wrong, and I love when there's a full run collected and so on, but sometimes they're a little too big, and sometimes they're a little too heavy, and, you know, the Epic seems just to be the right volume. But,
the omnibuses are how I buy my favorite books, so, like, all the Jeff Johns stuff, right? I mean, that's stuff that I'm like, this is the big collector edition. I probably will never read this edition, right?
Yeah.
This is just the version that I want.
So I originally tried to kind of, because the Epics kind of started with a way of collecting things I never thought would get collected. Like, there's a lot of stuff I grew up reading, I really loved when I was a kid, and they never made collections of it because it was never deemed worthy, or it was just like, you know, no one talked about it. So when those Grunwald Cap started coming out, I was like overjoyed to reread those because that's some of my favorite stuff. And then, you know, so I kind of was going to stick to just 80s and 90s. And then it kind of just slowly started expanding further back. And right now, because there's not that many out, I'm like, well, I'm going to collect as many as I can now within a budget. Because, like I said, I kind of, after my couple of piles, I kind of just went cold turkey. I just bought one, I think, since. And I'm going to try and collect as many as I can. And you know, I'll actually try and read them. And if I don't like them, it doesn't seem like they lose their value. So...
No.
So I feel like, look, I collect them while I can because I don't want to be like 5 years down the road and going, man, I really wished I picked up these from Ryan when I could have. Like a lot of books that, like those Tomb Raider archives. Are you kidding me? $200 each now? Like, the only reason why I didn't buy them right away because they didn't have that Witchblade Fathom crossover in there, and I was really disappointed. Now really regret not picking all those up because I love that series. That series was actually really good. I actually read those single issues back whenever they came out. I actually really, really liked them.
I thought the Epics were incredible when I first started seeing them. And again, for people that don't know, in case they haven't seen what the Epic collections are, it's all the original Marvel stuff pre-Heroes Reborn, so like 61 to 95, in chronological order, including crossovers, character appearances. They don't come out in order. But they're numbered on the back of the book, so they're kind of jumping around. They've done a lot of Silver Age, they've done a lot of 90s, and now they're filling in like 80s and 70s
part of
stuff.
Me almost wish it wasn't even numbered on the back now, because I think that's actually the trigger. I'm like, the number is still there. I still want all. Right?
That's what got me to actually take them, because I was like, there's no fucking way they're going to actually get this far. Like, they're out of their mind. And then, like, years passed, and they kept doing them. And then a few started to fall out of print, and that's when I was like, all right, if I'm doing it, this is the time.
Well, that's what kind of kickstarted this, right?
Yeah,
so,
it's an interesting fact, just because I think we all kind of looked at it when they first started. We'd be like, so this is the format they're doing right now, and then they'll decide to do something later, and we'll all be fucked if we start collecting this.
Yeah, that was the fear, yeah.
When I saw Spider-Man Volume...
when things go out of print.
Yeah, well, I was like, I saw Spider-Man Volume 22, and I'm like, yeah, okay, sure, okay, Marvel, whatever. You cancel books after 6 issues, let alone 22 volumes of a graphic novel. Okay, good luck. But here we are. I've got 2 long boxes of Epic collections, and like they keep coming. So this is great.
No, it's a really good way. Yeah, I really like it.
Yeah. Well, Toby, your collection's looking really good. I'm glad you're finally getting some stuff set up.
Trying to. But yeah, it's definitely triggering some hunting, which, to be honest, I mean, I was talking to Charlie, part of me kind of enjoys the hunt again. Because for years, I mean, I just kind of either get the books from you or, you know, it was not like checking out used things anymore. It was not like, you know, I kind of wish I could do it physically, where I could just go into used bookstores and look for things. Yeah. Which is almost like a treasure hunt, but I mean, doing it online is, you know, I guess almost as good, you know, when you do find something, because I did find Operation Rebirth at retail, and I was like, fuck yes. And then it actually did show up, as opposed to the Comic Con people. So I was overjoyed.
Well, I've been, years ago, 20 years ago, I sold a lot of my early comic books that I bought, a lot of the early Marvel, basically a lot of my Marvel, a lot of the early DC stuff I had, a lot of Superman, Batman, just, you know, whatever, I didn't care. I just sold my stuff. I've sold big parts of my collection pretty regularly. And in the last couple of years, I've been slowly starting to pick up my more DC series, like full runs from the 80s and very early 90s, and the stuff that I didn't read at the time, or I was too young when it came out.
So we may have to talk, because this whole collecting thing really put me down in a spiral. So like I grew up on a lot of the 80s, maybe even 70s Batman and Superman stuff, because that's what was available in Europe. So I started getting some of these covers and started sending them Kevin's face, go, do you recognize any of his books? Because I would love to read this, even like now.
Yeah.
So that's most of the stuff is like 80s and maybe late 70s. So I might have to look at some of the books you've been picking.
That was an interesting challenge, Toby.
Yeah.
Because those European comics have reprints, and so when he would send me the covers of these, I'd look and I'd go, okay, that's a Kurt Swan story from the 60s. Okay, that's a Garcia Lopez cover from the 80s. This is from the 70s, and it's just all over the place, and they're not grouped thematically. There's no rhyme or reason. It just seems like whatever comics we could grab hold of. And then they're not credited inside the reprint. So this
yeah, like the Cap Grunewald stuff. I never knew that was the Grunewald stuff. Like I legitimately didn't know. Like the whole run, I'm like, I love this entire run. I didn't realize it was the same writer all the way through. So I had no idea all this time, right? So now I'm kind of like backtracking and rediscovering a lot of these, like, you know, creators I didn't even know that I loved, which is like part of the fun of all of this. Like even
I think especially. Yeah. When you're younger, too, I think the creators are like the last things you look at. It's about the art, it's about the characters. Yeah. And I think as you get older, the creators start to pop, and you're like, oh, it's the same guy that I like over and over again.
Yeah, like even like a lot of the Avengers stuff, it was a Grunewald written stuff. So I was like, he's like up there. I never even knew, right? So,
but so I had through the years, I'd always picked up random stuff. I mean, some of my favorite characters, Firestorm and Justice League International, and you know, well, I'd gone back and picked up issues I missed, Suicide Squad, right? So a lot of these collections I had, and I started to look, and I'm like, you know, outside of like the big guys, DC did, especially post Crisis, they did have a lot of new series, and they tended not to last too long. They're all basically worthless. Like, I should be able to find these pretty cheap. So again, every now and again, I pick up a few, and I had picked up a complete run of All-Star Squadron, Young All-Star, and what's the other one?
Infinity Inc.
Infinity Inc. Right. So I picked those up years ago, and so then a little while ago, a couple collections came in. I picked up a run of Vigilante, picked up a pretty good run of the 90s Spectre, and sort of slowly. Couple more of these
floppies or
singles. Yeah, all single issues. Yeah. Because none of this stuff will be. I mean, very little of this has been collected, right? And then when I got that Crisis Omnibus for Christmas, when I got that back in December, I thought, let's see, let me actually start looking at some runs, and let me see. Clearly, not everything, because it's a lot of garbage, but what can I do from like 86 to current DC wise? Like where does my Superman and Batman run start? Like, you know, I've got pretty good runs from like 2000 to now, but a lot of the 90s stuff I did sell off those early collections. And I thought, you know, like, what kind of run can I do this? Can I go like Crisis to current, like on how many of these books can I really do? Because, you know, stuff like Flash, Green Arrow, I have every single issue. So some of these I already have done. Hellblazer, Sandman, you know, there are plenty of books where I do have every issue. So I
went back to a new project.
Well, right. So New Teen Titans, Legion of Superheroes. So this all started with Legion of Superheroes, because I said, look, I have my comics. I'm going to pull them out. So this was a few days ago, and I pulled out all my Legion comics. And I said, all right, this was going to be my binding project. I love the binding, but I just don't have the space for books. I do have them for singles. I don't want to throw graphic novels into a box in my garage, right? If I had more shelf space, I would do way more binding, but I think I'm kind of over it a little bit, although I get super jealous when I see people that do it. But I said, okay, let me actually get my Legion stuff in chronological order, get every crossover, figure out which issues I need. So I made a little list. And I started, okay, well, Legion links out to these series. Okay, I have this one. Oh, but I don't have this. Okay. Then I started piecing, and everything is, it's like a little puzzle. Everything links to itself somewhere else, right? So then I grabbed a list. I was on the DC where I have it right. It's sitting right up here. It's the dc.fandom.com. So it's one of these wiki sites. It seems fairly accurate. They have fucking everything on here as far as I can tell. So it seems very, very accurate. So I started like 83, 84, because that's when some of those books started to get relaunched and new volumes came out, and especially post-Crisis, a lot of new series. So I'm slowly making a list of, from basically 86 to now, runs that I don't have. And some of there's a lot of miniseries in the 80s and early 90s, tons of minis, tons of very short runs. But I'm like, okay. Batman and Superman I'm going to leave to the side because I've had a lot of those. And I do have, again, like 2000 to current, I have every single issue. But I've had those 90s issues in the past. So I'm like, let me leave Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. Let me leave that to the side. Let me actually go through my collection. Where does my run of Green Lantern start? Like, I have select issues, but where does it like start solid? Where does my run of Wonder Woman just start solid? Right? Flash is complete, so Flash is done. Aquaman, again, where does this start? There's all those little volumes. And so I've started to put together a big list of basically every DC comic I want from Crisis and post-Crisis to now. And I'm going to just slowly start picking these up. And some of these I've owned before and got rid of. So some of these I've read already, but just don't have. Never like owned it myself, but I've read it in the store or read a collection or whatever. And I mean, I have a lot of it. I actually have more than I thought. When I started to go through the list, I'm like, nope, got it. Okay, this is looking pretty good. The big one is though when I break down and pick up, year one to. I don't know when I started like Batman, like really, like I have every issue of Batman up, like, I don't know, like 2002 or whatever, 2001. And then Man of Steel up, right? Those are my starting points for Batman and Superman. So that is going to be my project. It's not going to end ever or anytime soon. But, we have some stuff at the store. We get some of the stuff in. I have a buddy that picked up a humongous collection that has a lot of this stuff that I think I can get pretty cheap. But I'm just going to slowly go through. I went back and rebagged all my Legion superhero comics, put them in order, put them in like a complete reading order. Even the guides I found online were incorrect because I open up the book and I look and it's like, oh, this came out before this issue, but it says it came the other way. So, nope, put it in the correct reading order, in the actual published order, all the way through. So, it's making a big list. We'll see how far I get in it. This is obviously not something I'm going to do soon. I will pick up a few here, a few there, a couple miniseries. Stuff comes into the store, dig through our back stock, dig through our sets. Sure, there's a few things in those sets.
There's a lot in the sets.
Yeah, it's good stuff though.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I have a feeling your collection is going to be worth a lot more than mine down the road.
No, it's all garbage. I mean, there's nothing expensive in here. There's very little, like...
Yeah, like a lot of the Batman like stuff that you're putting to the side from the 80s and 90s, there's only a handful of books in those.
Well, the Batman's going to be the most expensive out of all this stuff. Like, no question asked. But I have some of the more expensive stuff.
But like the Superman stuff and all that, I mean, I see the
Superman's
stuff all the time.
Nothing. Yeah, Superman's nothing. And I have full runs of Justice League. I have full runs of Flash. The Green Lantern's nothing. Wonder Woman's basically like the thing that's going to fuck me on Wonder Woman is some of those Adam Hughes covers.
Yep.
Same with Catwoman. That's the most expensive stuff that I don't have.
Oh, I got those. I might even have extras.
I'll trade you for some Epic collections.
Oh, now we're talking. I'll only trade you if I got extras, but I think I got extras on all of those because
that Adam Hughes Wonder Woman cover where it's like the Golden Age Wonder Woman.
Oh, that's
a
great
modern
cover.
Wonder Woman.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a $200 book.
Are you serious?
No, is it?
Yeah.
Just for the cover?
Yep.
There's nothing special about that issue.
Nope.
The funny thing about that book is that shortly after they came out, they didn't sell out, so they actually stuck around a little bit. And
that issue?
No, just some of these covers.
Oh yeah, no, nobody cared.
Yeah, The problem with me was I loved those covers so much. The longer I looked at it, I would just buy them again because I liked it. So I'm pretty certain I got multiples of those. I didn't mean to at the time. I didn't mean to buy multiples because I wasn't that way just yet. It happened shortly after that. But at the time I collected them because I loved the covers. But then I think I saw them in like the dollar books and stuff, and I'm like, I really like
nobody
this.
Nobody cared.
Then I just buy them again.
I'm going through Legionnaires, the late 80s, very early 90s, and Adam used a ton of those covers. And, nobody cares. They're worthless, right?
So, wait, are the Catwoman's valuable also?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so there's one Catwoman cover, I think it's Catwoman, where it's a street scene, and it has a poster for Zatanna's magic show on a building side.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Yep. So one year at San Diego, Adam brought 100 copies of that as an actual poster on real heavy paper, and it was. Wow. And I bought one because it was so awesome, and I could not get a tube. This is the pre-tube days, Toby. So I had to transport that thing across the con floor, just rolled with a rubber band on the plane, in the cab and home. And it didn't get dinged at all, and I still have it, and I've often thought about putting that thing up for sale.
So I'll give
probably pretty expensive.
Yeah, it's signed, and there's 100 of them that he made.
I'll give a good tip for everybody in Kevin's situation at the time, because a lot of these prints, you're lucky because it's probably heavy stock, so they didn't affect it. But a lot of these posters, because you hold them all day long, your hand sweat actually affects them and fucks them up. So what I recommend is you just get a trash piece of paper or a magazine, you rip the page out, you roll it around so you're just not holding it. So it's just a tip.
Yeah. Well, I bought this on Sunday afternoon of the last day of the con. He had one left, and I bought the last one. So my hand grease wasn't on it for too long.
Yeah, no, but since you mentioned it, I was like,
that was the most high stress con travel, with that goddamn poster, from the convention center to the airport, through security, on the plane, off the plane, and getting it home without a ding or anything happening. I was on red alert, full mental red alert for 5 hours.
Well, Kevin, having seen you after the retailers meeting at Comic-Con, I think last year.
Oh,
Ryan,
well, yeah, and that stuff was free. That stuff was free.
Yeah.
This I paid $100 for.
Yeah, but just seeing how you were that print alone, I don't even want to know.
Oh yeah, this was beyond, Toby. This was beyond that.
Because you were a little crazy for that free print already. You were like, I'm going to return it. I can't hold this. I was like, I do not even want to go close to you having paid $100 for it.
Yep. This was,
So, Kevin, the issue that you were talking about is issue 50 of that run.
Okay, and she's on a poster. This is good radio. Zatanna's on a poster, a skull is floating over her hand.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's like the wallpaper on the side of a building, right?
Yeah. So this is like that as a poster.
Yeah. The issue 50, goes for about $10. It's issue 51 that's what goes for a lot. And that's the mugshot one.
And this is just because of the covers.
Yeah, that's real pricing. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
People love that Adam Hughes.
Yeah, but there's a whole book of Adam Hughes DC covers. It seems like a hardcover. You could just get that if you want to look at it.
That goes for money too. No, that goes for money too now.
We've all talked about exactly how much the variant cover market and even a lot of these artists have started publishing their own covers just because there are people out there who will collect every single cover these people do and that kind of thing. And it's such a direct market now.
Yeah.
Well, before we move on, Kevin, I think you had something. It's a secret.
Oh, no. It's not a secret. This. No, it's just not. It's just not that interesting. Because you knew about my art collecting already. So that's not a new project. And then you guys were talking about, Ryan, you were talking about building some boxes or something for comics and Toby remodeling. That's people stuck in their home and thinking so I had to rehook up, Charlie knows all this, rehook up my whole home theater because I got new equipment. And now next is the home internet, which I'm dreading. And then that art habit, as Toby was attesting with those books, it's like, I don't have a spreadsheet with numbers because I don't want to see it. So I just have a Word doc with artists listed, and I don't even have the price next to it because I don't want to see it. But so I occasionally will go in and review that doc and be like, okay, how many are still out there that I haven't? How many have I seen on some of these live streams and I just don't have it in the mail yet? And how many have I not seen any glimpse of and they're still maybe not have even been started? And if I consider those two numbers, how many more am I comfortable ordering? And it's a constant weekly struggle. I feel like I have a food addiction or something where it's like every day I've got to consider what are my calories? Like I've got to manage this. I'm not trying to diminish people's actual addictions, but this is really like a whole different mental state. Even in the height of my comics collecting, I was never like this. It's bad, man. It's bad.
I'll be honest, for me, it's absolutely an addiction. I tell you up front.
Just look at your bank account. As long as there's money in it, you're okay.
Yeah. Well, that's
as long as your bills are getting paid.
I have a big pile of stuff that I was going to put on eBay to help supplement this habit, but of course, then everything hit with like when the mail became an issue and everything. So I still have this big pile of stuff for eBay.
Hey man, this is the time to do it. People are
stuck at home.
People are spending. People are spending.
No, I mean, my collecting stuff, I've definitely made some purchases and stuff during all this, but it's funny, the stuff that I've been buying is actually the stuff that I thought I was done with.
Like what?
Like, I thought I was done buying the Walking Dead slipcases. I'm like, I haven't even read the last one. I'm not going to bother picking up the next one.
But it's not complete.
And then I came across the next volume I needed on eBay for like $20. I'm like, fuck.
Damn.
And Sixth Gun Deluxe hardcover, I picked up the volume 5 of that for $20. So now, of course, I don't have the volume 4. I have 1, 2, 3, and 5.
That's the well, my like comic want list, I literally had down to like 10 books. Like it was nothing. I was like, yeah, it's just random shit, random holes, oh whatever, it's no big deal. Now it's like I'm not like working on page 3. I'm like, oh god, no. Yeah. Oh no.
Yeah, no, the biggest whale I'm looking for right now is I'm looking for the X-Men Inferno omnibus. That's really, really old, almost impossible to get, because somehow I missed it when it came out and didn't realize it for all these years. But enough people posted pictures in one of the groups of like, look at my X-Men collection. I'm like, have that. Fuck.
Yeah, Charlie, I was saying this to Toby, I think like within the last 2 days, those Facebook groups are dangerous, man.
Oh,
dangerous.
Yeah.
You know how much money that goddamn Facebook has cost me for a free platform? How much that has cost me being in those groups? Awful.
Those groups are so dangerous. So dangerous.
Awful. So I'm lucky enough that I don't have any of these these collecting projects that you guys have accumulated. I've gone, I need to finish my box of books and get caught up before comic books really come back. And I've almost done it. And I mean, I don't have anything like that. The only thing I did pick up in the quarantine was the complete Calvin and Hobbes, the hardcover collection.
Oh, that slipcase?
Yeah. It was like $95 on Amazon. I was like, oh hell yeah.
They usually have that at pretty good prices.
Yeah, so I was like, so that was my kind of, I guess, purchase during the whole shelter in place thing. But
I've bought nothing. I've just made a list. So I'm I haven't spent a dime.
To be fair, that's how it starts, right? Because all I did was a lot of talking. I did a lot of talking before I started buying, and I did a lot of lists. And then once it starts, it goes, man.
Yeah, but even without having spent a massive amount, you don't want to know how many times I've refreshed some of the groups that I'm following and eBay and all of that. Like, that is where like my brain goes into overdrive, where I really wish I could wander a con floor right now and stuff like that, because that's the equivalent for me is just being able to kind of go to all these different places and see what they have. And find the right bargains and the stuff that is normally much more expensive, but this person still has it normal price.
Yeah.
I will say this though. I mean, because of those Facebook groups, though, I found a couple of them at retail or even below retail that are out of print right now. Like I got that second Moon Knight that I missed out on from a guy, pretty much retail plus shipping. Then I bought the other two that was missing from you because you still had them. I got a Captain America that's out of print coming from a guy for like $35, which is almost retail, but that's including shipping. So I have to say, I mean, the people are actually definitely trying to help each other out than trying to necessarily make a buck on some of these sites, depending on which ones you're at. So
exactly.
I do kind of appreciate that, and there's camaraderie in there. There's like a guy that was going to sell me West Coast Avengers 2, the Omnibus, and he started like trying to find me a better deal on something he was trying to sell me. Like, we started talking about it, and then because he was trying to sell me the set, and he didn't want to break it up, and I was going to respect that. And I just hey man, I don't want you to be offended. I'm going to dump the first one when I get it. So he was like, oh man, then you should just get the second one by itself. I'm like, yeah, I can't find it by itself though. So he started like looking for me. So I thought that was pretty funny because I was like, dude, I thought you were supposed to sell me that. He goes, yeah, no, but that doesn't feel right. So I was like, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool.
Now, one of my favorite thing about a lot of the groups that I follow is they're just filled with people who love collecting this stuff. So they do a fair amount of trades and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But all of the ones that I'm a member of are very, very strict about, like, do not try to sell something here over retail.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how out of print it is, all that. If you try and sell something here over retail, we will ban you.
Yeah. That's why I like it.
The members really respect that and kind of band together around this. We want to collect this stuff and we want to sort of share this stuff without price gouging people.
Yeah, and it seems like they all actually are readers or fans of the books because they actually talk about it, which I actually quite enjoy. It's almost like the Wednesday group in ways on the internet. Like, I found like the people that actually read their books and will recommend stuff in the era or some, they actually know their stuff. So
my favorite thing about a lot of these groups is you don't get into any of the like troll like if somebody says, I finally read the Dan Slott, Mike Allred, Silver Surfer, and I don't get it. Nobody jumps on him like, your opinion's wrong or anything like that. Yeah. They're just like, oh, well, for some people, people tend to be very respectful of different people's opinions when you get to the right groups, and I really like that.
Yeah.
No, it does not feel toxic at all.
Yeah.
That's rare.
Yes.
That's very rare.
That never happens on Ryan's Twitter feed.
We're going to move on to some news stories here. There's a couple things to talk about here, so let's get into that. But I'm sure we'll update our crazy collecting habits in future episodes.
Yeah, these crazy collecting habits really need some visual aids to really drive home the.
We'll make some more Facebook posts in the group. So this is weird. I actually been trying to get some concrete answers from Marvel, and they're obviously not giving anyone concrete answers. So we don't know what's going on here. I've probably talked about this, that Marvel and to a degree DC and Image and some of the other companies have pulled a lot of their titles off of Diamond's website because everything's getting resolicited and everything's going to come back in a new a new order. It's not going to come as solicited, right? Everything's changing dates. So it's not unexpected to see a bunch of Marvel stuff not on there. However, they did officially announce that starting this week, select Marvel comics are going to be released digitally. And it is, despite the press release, it's actually kind of unclear what's going on with these. Ant-Man number 4, Avengers of the Wasteland number 4, Ghost Spider number 9, Ravencroft number 4, the Ironheart Iron Man 2021 shot, Marvel's Spider-Man Black Cat Strikes number 4, Hawkeye Freefall 5, and Star number 4. These are coming out digitally, and there will be no print version. At least not now. And with some of these, these are not the final issues. Again, I can't access Diamond's database right now, so I would have to go back and look at my print catalog. But I thought like Avengers of the Wasteland was like maybe a 5 or 6 issue mini. There was never any talk of like Hawkeye Freefall or Ant-Man ending at those issues or even Ghost Spider. So I don't think unless they're just canceling them, dumping the last issue digitally, and that's it. It's really weird to see them take these books off. I have to expect that they're going to continue at some point down the road with some of these books. Now Marvel did say that they are going to release the graphic novels that will collect these issues. But again, you have a 2020 Ironheart #1. There's not going to be a graphic novel of one issue, right? So I kind of actually thought this would have been maybe a bit of a bigger story. It doesn't feel like it's getting talked about quite as much as I would have thought. Marvel basically is making 8 of their books digital only, and if you bought the first issues, I guess, and it's just really strange.
I mean, there's only a few times I can think of where, like, obviously there's that Joker omnibus that has the issue 10 in it that was never published. There was some stuff with slave labor and the Gargoyle series because of the way that those ended. They had
the licensing, right?
Yeah. They had additional issues in the trade release that never got out to single issue.
Well, like what you were talking about with the Joker issue, right? That was all part of DC implosion, right? When all the books got canceled, the Firestorm and a bunch of that stuff, right? If you ever get a chance to read like the canceled comic Cavalcade, it's a really interesting black and white like photocopy book that has like all those unpublished issues. Now, some of which have been published, but.
And in terms of like single issues, there's plenty of times they've thrown one-shots or single issues into other trades or omnibuses where that would sort of fit thematically.
Right, I'm sure the Ironheart will be in the Iron Man 2020 omnibus, right? Yeah. But it is like this isn't just like 1 or 2 books. This is, if a book gets canceled, if a miniseries gets canceled before it's over, oh, okay, sure, this happens. It doesn't happen too often anymore, but it does happen. But this is some of these are ongoing titles: Ant-Man, Hawkeye, Ghost Spider. These are ongoing books, so very weird. I if you've been reading these books, I don't know what to tell you. I mean,
it just kind of feels like a dick move to the people that have been buying the print version of these books.
Yeah, and I'm sure sales on these books are not great, but still, it's like just finish out
the If it's canceled, fine. You canceled an issue. You got 2 issues left. Print the 2 issues and just get it done.
Right, but, exactly.
But saying that, it's only going to be digital, but it'll be included in the trade, you're basically giving a big, huge FU to anybody who buys physical comics. And during a pandemic when we haven't had comics, that's kind of not the message you want to send.
Well, I agree it's not necessarily the message you want to send, but I can also see them basically being worried that if the print numbers on these were already low, coming out of the pandemic, well, people have to adjust their orders, expecting a certain amount of cut from that. I could see them being worried that it may not even justify printing anymore.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, these books are subscription only at most stores, so I can't imagine the numbers would change too dramatically. They would change, obviously. Yeah. They would go down, I'm sure. But,
I mean, it's hard to say.
But these are not their lowest selling books.
With the unemployment numbers being the way they are, I understand we've talked about how your shop in this area may not have been hit, but I'd be curious to hear from other shops across the country and stuff to know what they've seen.
Yeah, these are not like the lowest selling books at Marvel, not by a long stretch. So it is odd to see this. I don't know if maybe there was a problem. Like, I feel like there's more going on than just we're just going to scrap
Ryan,
them.
I know this is annoying to people who listen, but I sent you a message with part of the reason you can't get an answer on this. I don't know that there is an answer, but there's a reason why you can't get an answer right now. But it's not something we can really talk about on the air. And I know that's super annoying, but I just wanted to interject with there's a reason why you're getting radio silence back.
Oh, sure. And I'm not getting radio silence. I have heard back from people at Marvel. I just haven't The answer is
Got it.
we don't. The answer is there's no
Okay.
answer. Yeah. So, but I expect we'll find out. Well, if Marvel's going to have to put their new solicitation in, right? And if there's no next issue of any of these books, okay. But if there's like all of a sudden another issue of Hawkeye, like what's up with this one issue? like it doesn't make any sense. So I want to see what Marvel's new schedule looks like before I really condemn them. But it is really odd. It's really weird. Toby,
Yes?
did you know you can finally sleep in?
No?
Do you want to sleep in finally?
I would like
You don't have to get up. You don't have to wait in line all night. You don't have to walk around in gigantic circles at the Hasbro booth to just sidestep in and get a line.
Where are you going with this?
You know Comic-Con has been canceled?
Yeah,
Except Comic-Con's back, baby, and this time it's all digital. You ready?
Ugh.
Comic-Con at home. Now, we don't have any more information.
Is this the same shit I've been yelling about for years? That like they need to start streaming shit and doing like stuff so people can see it, experience something outside of the con.
A lot of Comic-Con is streamed or shown on Twitter or on YouTube, but this
Like
is actually
a lot of the panels don't get shown. Some get like snippets, but
they come up later.
Yeah. But like they don't do it like Blizzard does, where they have the digital package where you can watch a lot of the content.
No. And obviously, there's not going to be a Comic-Con as we know it. However, like every other thing right now, Comic-Con is planning some form of live streaming content. I'm assuming it'll be much like there's like the Summer Games thing going on right now. That's sort of like the E3 replacement. They're doing all the DC Daily interviews with all the creators. I know I was talking to Toby about this earlier. Jim Lee and Bill Sienkiewicz and Dave Gibbons and a bunch of people have been doing that. So, look for a lot of people sitting in their bedrooms or sitting in their dining rooms talking about comic books. But Comic-Con, I'm assuming, working with all the big companies, the movie companies, and they're going to be getting some cool live stream stuff. Probably some trailer reveals, probably some big news stories. It's not going to be Comic-Con, but it sounds like they're doing something. So, although we won't have a traditional con. Free parking, comfy chairs, personalized stacks, no lines, pets welcome, and badges for all. So, not Comic-Con, basically, is what they're saying. It's the antithesis of Comic-Con.
I know Rose City just did their announcement of cancellation, and that's like late August,
September.
There's no
September.
Yeah, there's no con. There's no cons this year. Yeah, there's no cons this year.
Yeah, my optimistic bet on New York being the one con of the year looks like I was too optimistic.
Speaking of optimistic bets,
Speaking
of optimistic bets,
there was not an actual bet on this, so we're just speaking of optimism.
Okay, speaking of optimism, Kevin Sharp threw down the gauntlet and said, what is going to happen in 2020?
I think...
Do we get...
Okay, throwing down the gauntlet is making a proclamation like, Doomsday Clock will not finish in 2019. I did not throw down the gauntlet. I threw out the question.
It's a pretty loaded question. What do we get this year? Batman 3 Jokers, Miracle Man, or Saga restarting? What of the...
Snyder Cut.
Oh, the Snyder Cut. Yeah. That's coming pretty soon. When does HBO Max start? Couple weeks?
That was not a real HBO Max account.
It's pretty soon. What's that?
That was not a real HBO Max account.
No. I know.
I know that you know too, but I thought it was still.
But there was some fear. There was some fear because 3 Jokers was pulled off the schedule again in DC's reshuffle. But however, today DC has said that no, we've just moved a few books around because of the coronavirus. We're reshuffling titles around. And Batman 3 Jokers, again, does come out as of Tuesday, August 25th, with a monthly release schedule after that. Now, monthly is, I'll believe it when I see it. Even given a 2-month schedule, August, October, December. So we could have another December baby, We could have that Christmas baby, get the final issue of Batman 3 Jokers right prior to Christmas. We'll see. I'll take them at their word that it's coming out monthly, August, September, October. But
the only way that book is coming out monthly is if it's entirely done right now as we're speaking.
I mean, there's finished pages here.
No, I mean, every issue is bound,
done,
printed, and done.
Oh, yeah. It has been a ride between Doomsday Clock now and 3 Jokers, but the ride's almost over. I do wonder with Generations, with Dan Didio's exit, the coronavirus happening at the perfect time for DC to just be like, never mind. Generations, not happening. 3 Jokers, let's push that back a little bit. Why? Because we can change it now. It has to be connected. They had to have said, okay, Dan's gone, Jeff, what did you want to do? Okay, cool. Let's kind of.
So is your prediction that Generations is DOA?
I think it's not happening. It's definitely not happening with the Free Comic Book Day book not coming out. I think it's gone. They could do something like post metal with it. They could still do it in some fashion. The idea of another History of the DC Universe, I am all fucking down for. I love those books. It's a modern freshening up of every decade. But if you listen to what Scott Snyder has been saying about death metal and his talk of like the anti-crisis or the what do you call it? Is that what he called it? The anti-crisis or the reverse crisis or whatever he said. I think Generations may make more sense after metal is over and we know the state of the DC universe, as opposed to just what Generations was going to be and going to lead into seemingly a kind of new setup. I could see them retooling Generations to be History of the DC Universe and to say, okay, now here's our revised current history. But Generations that was solicited in the April catalog or March catalog? No, it is not happening. That book is done. That book is scrapped. There's no way. Right? Anyone agree, disagree? Does anyone think that book is happening in the format it was solicited?
I think that your comment about a History of the DC Universe kind of book is kind of what would be nice to have now, like kind of just a going over, not necessarily just a history, but you get the multiverse and all that stuff and background, kind of just a good informational book about where DC is in regards to time and all of that stuff.
Yeah. Well,
no, not today.
I just think it's not needed today because I think we are on the verge of a massive shift in continuity. I don't think it makes sense today. I think it makes sense in a year post death metal. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know.
I would say this. I would love it if they did do that, and then when they collected it in a trade, they put out like the original story as like a backup.
Oh, that'd be cool.
To it, just to be like, this is what it was originally going to be, because we know they at least finished the like Free Comic Book Day content, I would assume.
So the Free Comic Day book is done. That's already been printed, as far as I know. Yeah. And I have to believe art for the first issue of Generations was done, or mostly done. And I would like to see that because that's them linking Wonder Woman to be like kind of the first hero and around, and setting her back up to be around during the JSA, like they did.
So I
obviously originally, and then
is if they want to redo stuff and make it be a completely different thing, I'm assuming that means they would scrap what they already produced for Free Comic Day, or at least retool good sections of it.
Yeah.
Same with like the first issue, which for me would mean that would be the perfect sort of back material as
bonus
a deluxe hardcover or whatnot of those issues.
What could have been? Yeah, that'd be neat. I'd be down with that.
Movie.
Before we move on to some movie and TV talk, of course, there's unfortunately every now and again do get a death in the comic industry. And the most recent one, Martin Pasko, longtime writer at DC, worked on Superman, Action Comics. He worked on Saga of the Swamp Thing, the issues right prior to Alan Moore taking over. Worked on Justice League. But he co-wrote Batman Mask of the Phantasm, one of the, a lot of people argue, is one of the best Batman movies. Worked on the Batman animated series, did a lot of work in TV, worked for Disney. Kevin, I think of all of us, you're maybe a little more familiar with his work, especially his Superman stuff to a degree. That 70s Superman, there's a lot. I have not read a lot of that. So
yeah, and it's tying it back to what we were talking about earlier when Toby was looking for those issues that were in those reprints. A lot of it was from the 70s comics. So Pasko's kind of a tough one to talk about. I mean, you kind of hit his things he's most known for, but he's one of those guys where, and I guess this will test the age of people listening. If I said like Carrie Bates died or Elliot Magan died or, something like that, if you go, oh yeah, Carrie Bates or Pasko or Magan or fill in the blank, it's these kind of, and Martin Pasko wasn't even that old. Was he in his 60s?
No, he was 65. Yeah, he's actually, I thought he was older.
No, because he started really young. He was one of those young whippersnappers like Len Wein and Marv Wolfman. They got started really young, but he was just one of those reliable guys. You could just look at his credits on Wikipedia or something and see all the books that he worked on for DC, for Marvel, for Warren, all these animated shows. He worked on Thundar, I think, the TV series, where he's just one of those writers who could just be plugged into any property and just deliver like consistent quality on time. He's not Grant Morrison. He's not Neil Gaiman. He's not Bendis, where you're going to go, oh, Pasko, what do you want to do? You can have anything you want and make it yours. He's kind of one of those old school writers where the philosophy was it's the characters and the comics are what's first, not the creators. And so you're there to serve those. So there should really be no noticeable difference between a Pasko Superman issue and a Carrie Bates Superman issue. Because people are tuning in, so to speak, for the adventures of the character, not for the writer to show off. So it's just kind of like reliable every 30 days, crank out a solid comic book for that era of fan.
Right.
He would not fit into today's marketplace at all.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, Mask of the Phantasm, I think, if anything, holds up.
Oh, yeah.
Really
I'm talking
well,
about the comic book marketplace.
Sure,
oh, yeah,
sure,
totally
sure.
Phantasm. But yeah, so he's a tough guy. I mean, Levitz and Mark Waid and other people who really knew him wrote very touching eulogies to him on social media because if you were there in the office in the trenches, you'd know how good he was. Looking from the outside, it's just like, oh yeah, Pasko was one of those dependable, long-time writers. And I'm not dismissing that at all. I'm just saying it's hard to say, like, this was the great work of his that you'd hold up for his epitaph. Because he didn't have that. He was just always good.
Well, there are so many creators from the 30s into even into the 80s, hell, even into the 90s, where pre-social media, pre any sort of even pre-credits for a lot of these early books, right? Where people just have no idea, and you for every Alan Moore, there's 10 guys that the average person doesn't know, right? That worked at Marvel and DC. And so, yeah, I mean, I fully admit my knowledge of this guy is very minimal. I'm sure I'm looking at the issues and I'm like, oh yeah, totally, of course, I know every single one of these comic book covers. I didn't know he wrote these, right? Yeah.
The equivalent would be an artist like Irv Novick or Dick Dillon, someone like that. Mm-hmm. Not Romita, not Buscema, not Byrne or Perez, or just like the solid craftsmen who are just there to build the house and then move on to the next house.
Don Heck is like that guy for me. Of like, he's no one's favorite artist, but goddamn, that guy put out a lot of work. He just put out book after book after book after book, and if you needed someone, he's there, and that's great. Yeah, Kirby could crank out a book too, but like Don Heck was one of those guys where he could do anything. It's crazy. Kirby's Kirby, right? Don Heck kind of was just. It could kind of meld into whatever he wanted it to be. So, yeah, and there's a lot of writers that have the same thing. And like again, his work is not so old that this is not in my eventual backtracking pre-crisis. On the Newsarama article that I used here for my for my little notes for the episode, they have the cover for for Action Comics 500. I think it's one of my favorite covers of all time. If you've seen the cover, it's Superman, Lois, and Supergirl. It's Supergirl too. She's got the short shorts too, and the
Does it have all the covers in the background?
They're holding the giant comic of themselves holding the comic of themselves holding the comic, and it's very pink. Yeah. There's tons of. I love this cover. I've always loved this cover. It's one of my favorite covers. It's a Ross Andrew cover, and I just there's something about that issue I've always really liked, and I'm like, oh, look, that was he wrote that perfect.
He'd be one of those guys where if you're the editor, you go, oh shit, we're running late. We need a Superman story. We need a Green Lantern story. We need an Iron Man story. Whatever. You could call him and he would do it.
Yeah. Toby, for you, he wrote episodes of TMNT.
Nice.
So, yeah. This guy's done a lot of stuff. He worked on Cheers and Roseanne too.
Yeah, I
know. Yeah. So some movie and TV news here. There's actually also comic book news too, because Sweet Tooth, Vertigo series by Jeff Lemire, got picked up. I think we talked about this a little while ago, but officially now picked up on Netflix. It's going direct to series. I think it's going to be really soon, or much sooner than we anticipated. They have cast, so Robert Downey Jr. is producing it. It's going to be on Netflix. Christian Convery will play Gus, the main character. James Brolin, Will Forte, Nonso Anazi, I don't know them, and Adil Akhtar will be playing other characters in the show. They just don't give roles for any of these people yet, so they've already cast a bunch of people. Showrunner of Arrow, Beth Schwartz, will be working on it as well. So obviously a lot of the WB people involved in this. So another bit Netflix is going to have Sweet Tooth and Sandman. I know Sandman has been on a bit of hiatus because of the coronavirus, but I know Neil Gaiman's made a few updates about it. However, of course, we're recording the night before. Neil Gaiman tweeted today that 8 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow, there should be some big Sandman news. So I wonder if we're going to hear official stuff about the show tomorrow.
I know I saw today on Twitter they showed images of Charlize Theron for the Old Guard through Netflix, the Greg Rucka book.
Oh, I didn't even know they were doing that.
Yeah.
Cool.
They showed
nice.
They showed some shots from the set and all that stuff. So
nice. I didn't even know they were doing that.
So that I liked Old Guard. It was really, really good. So
yeah. It's in my big pile to read eventually. And final, it's not official, but we have some hope, gentlemen. We are this much closer to Matt Ryan being on CW's Swamp Thing. So there's no new shows being made. Finales are airing. The Flash finale was tonight. Yeah. I think they just ended. As far as I know, it's not a season. I mean, it is a season finale now.
It's not the actual season finale they wanted. They had to cut. They had to cut early because of the COVID stuff.
Right. So CW appears to be picking up some shows to air as new on television. That they are obviously not new to us, but they picked up the rights to re-air DC Universe's Swamp Thing. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying.
Well, so
there's a chance. Okay, there's a chance.
My tweet about this was, you can pick up the Swamp Thing and you can air it, but post-crisis, you can just bring Swamp Thing over to the post-crisis universe, and Matt Ryan is there.
Swamp Thing was in Crisis, right? That's what I'm trying to say. It's now on CW. So CW is going to have Stargirl. That's next week, so we'll definitely talk about that. I'll have it on DC Universe, so we'll actually... we should be recording. We'll be recording when it's actually on, probably. But if you have DC Universe, it'll be on Monday. So this is another DC Universe show coming over to television. And obviously CW is fuck, we care. Let's take them all. So, again, There's no word. There's no. I mean, they're just airing the episodes. They're gonna have to edit them, obviously, a little bit, but there's no word at all about new season, new show, blah blah blah, anything. I'm just saying, there's a chance. So I'm holding out hope.
Well, I mean, there's also the stuff about the Justice League Dark TV show, and I know Matt Ryan was quoted recently saying, with that happening, he would be very disappointed if he didn't actually get in the room for an audition or something to be involved in it.
I would be disappointed too. Hey, I mean, maybe there's another great actor out there that could play John Constantine. I'm not saying you can never recast this guy.
Keanu Reeves, man.
He's so good. I just want him. I just want him to play Constantine.
Matt Ryan is Constantine.
He is. He's great. We got some Twitter and Patreon questions. We're going to get the Patreon questions first. Actually, it's about Swamp Thing, so I'll read this one first. This is from Brian. He says, I just got news that Swamp Thing is going to be on CW. I'm concerned because it was pretty dark on DC Universe, and CW is going to ruin it. What are your thoughts?
CW could put it at 10 o'clock.
Yep.
Well, they're going to have to edit out some stuff, but they could run that mostly unedited. And there's nothing new. This is not a new show. They are just re-airing the original show for now. So I expect there will be almost no change. Just some.
I can't think of anything that would be directly...
It's violence.
Yeah, but even the violence and stuff is
not... nudity?
I don't remember there being any nudity.
Swearing?
There was probably
F-bomb
swearing.
Or two.
I'm sure there was some
but
swearing.
those are easy enough to edit around.
Yeah.
I think they can clean it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could be on at 10 o'clock. It could be on at 9 o'clock. Yeah, that'll solve a lot of the content problems. Yeah. I think most of Arrow.
Stargirl's on CW, Swamp Thing's on CW, Harley's on Sci-Fi.
Are they actually airing it on Sci-Fi, or did they just do the one-off?
They aired season 1 on Sci-Fi.
Oh, so they did air the whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
They're airing it this month, this first season on Sci-Fi. If I recall.
Cool, because I knew they aired one episode.
Yeah, but that was when it was first starting. They did the one episode, but no, the whole thing is going on. Fully doing the season 1 on Sci-Fi.
Cool. I haven't started season 2 yet, so I'm going to wait for that to kind of get close because there's only a couple episodes left. I think it's
amazing.
They're short. Oh yeah, I'm going to burn through it. I can't wait. The first season.
In fact, I am a little shocked and amazed at how well they're combining all these different Batman stories that I'm familiar with into one story.
Nice. Yeah, I hope the numbers are there for DC Universe with obviously HBO Max around the corner. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if there's a reason for it to stick around.
I guess for me, the question or what I'm hoping, because they just rolled out that rewards program, and what I'm really curious about with the rewards program is you can essentially keep DC Universe for free right now, which is a little odd.
Well, I kind of wonder, you could very easily just set it to a secondary monitor and just hit play. And
they still kept the number of points you can get per week, from what I understand and stuff. So it's not.
But you can just keep. Yeah.
But the price they have right now to give yourself a free month of DC Universe would be the equivalent of reading 27 comics a month.
Oh, that's nothing.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. That's okay. I'm actually more interested in the Movie Anywhere codes that you can redeem through it.
Yeah.
Like for Birds of Prey and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know what they're... I don't know if this is just a temporary, let's see if we can goose our numbers, or if it's no, we're doing great. We're going to make this worthwhile for people to stick around. I don't know what they're doing with that reward program, but we'll see. Oops. Hey, I closed the Patreon page. Let's try that again. Let me get back to it. Yeah, I didn't mess around with the rewards too much, but I did watch a few of the videos because I was watching them anyway. So, this is from Mikhail. He says, "Where do you see the DC books going as a whole? How do you feel DC delivered on what Rebirth built, and do you have any expectations for Death Metal?" Well, I think whatever plans everyone had is out the window for every company. I think everyone took this time to sort of reassess and reposition. So, yeah, with Didio gone, whatever plans were there are gone. I have pretty high hopes for death metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but on the second part of that question, on sort of taking advantage of what they did in Rebirth, again, it felt like they had a very, very clear vision at first when Rebirth launched, and I was really, really digging what they were doing, and then they kind of eased off on it again.
Well, the books now are the same. Like, it's not weirdly different. I mean, they clearly have changed creators, and they've changed...
there was like this... Yes, I understand with Doomsday Clock, and I understand Doomsday Clock sort of messed this up a little bit, but I kind of felt like when Rebirth first launched, I was super into the Green Arrow comic, I was super into the Titans comic, and as they were kind of unfolding stuff that had to do with Wally, and there was a sort of sense of like, we're restoring things. Things are kind of being brought back. And then they just kind of stopped.
No.
They stopped sort of exploring what else they could bring back and just sort of settled into this is a weird amalgamation status quo.
Right.
They stopped sort of looking into what elements they could bring back, except in the Flash comic. The Flash comic seemed to still be allowed to bring stuff back.
Well, I think that's why death metal's now being looked at as something potentially very different than what it was when it first came out. There's still quite a ways. There's a lot of time till that final episode or till that final issue. So whatever their original plan was, I could see a pretty big shift happening. I mean, Scott Snyder's been pretty open about this stuff on his social media account. He posted a video on Twitter or Facebook like yesterday or today with this sort of this whiteboard, sort of like everything kind of built up, and now death metal's like going forward, right, into what's coming next. So, yeah, it's going to be a big couple of years for DC. I think they have a lot of stuff planned for next year. Death metal is just sort of one of the kind of like, you know, building off Doomsday Clock and kind of the path going forward. It's from David Baroldi. He says, Roger Stern wrote some of my favorite Captain America, Spider-Man, and Avengers stories, but I've never heard much of his time on Superman. How does it measure up to his Marvel stuff? Are there any stories or collections worth checking out?
Yes. He was on Superman with Kerry Gamble on art. It was after Byrne, so I want to say 87, 88, 89, somewhere in there. And they released this, Charlie, correct me on this, it was an omnibus, maybe last year, called Exile, Superman Exile or something like that. So
and other stories.
Exile, and on other stories is because there was no like unified giant storyline to fill an omnibus in that period. But the Roger Stern and Kerry Gamble Superman issues, there were some set in Metropolis and some with Superman like in outer space going to different planets, and not on Earth at all. They're really good and definitely worth checking out. They're probably on DC Universe. I haven't looked for them on there. If you don't want to invest in an omnibus.
I'm sure they are.
How long did his run go? Did he go up to Death of Superman and through Death of Superman? I'm trying to remember. Because I read that was around again, a year prior to Death of Superman. That's right when I was reading a lot of the comics. I know I read a bunch of his stuff, but I can't remember if I read it
hit Death of Superman or not, or if he was out before then.
Like maybe right prior to that.
Yeah.
Because I definitely read some of his later issues, but I'm just trying to remember if I was actually buying those off the shelf or if I had just sort of backtracked.
This was back when on the Superman issues on the covers they had little like Superman shield shape with the number, because there were multiple different titles, but they all kind of crossed over every month. And so they would number them on the cover, not the issue number, a little like reading order number.
Oh, I remember that. I actually quite enjoyed those numbers.
Those were good comics.
Yeah, no, that.
Yeah.
Yep. And final question is from number one Hellboy fan, or sorry, let me rephrase that, from Hellboy himself, Mr. Rama. He says, what Hellboy-related book should I buy from Comics Conspiracy, and will you sign it? Now, no, because I don't want to ruin your perfectly wonderful Hellboy collection. That said, I have a question. Charlie may have the answer. May not. Let's see if Charlie's got it. Have you looked at those Hellboy, not the library editions, but like their little like softcover omnibuses that they're doing? I forget what they call it.
I mean, I've looked at them, but I love the library editions too much.
the library editions are the print order, not the chronological order.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
So it starts
definitely
with
print
like Chain
order.
Coffin and okay, because I think those new soft covers are like a chronological order, which I'm not really into.
I was going to say that's really kind of disastrous because from what I understand, because I need to sit down and just read through all the Hellboy stuff from sort of start to finish, but they've finished Hellboy's story, so anything they're publishing now is other times kind of thing. So when you have like the Hellboy and the BPRD and that kind of stuff, it's all like we're going to tell a story at this time and this time, which means immediately having something printed right now in chronological order means at some point they're going to put out an issue that belonged in that trade that's not in there.
Yeah, it says I'm looking here. I don't have the number 1, but I have volume 2. It says volume 2. It's Hellboy's Adventures from 1998 to 2005. So, no, I'm sorry. Maybe this is right. Maybe this is actually print order. I was reading something though that I thought they were printing them in like chronological order, which is really weird. With the short stories.
And aren't they called omnibuses?
It's called the Hellboy Omnibus. Yeah,
but they're not hardcover. That's
the
the thing
covers.
between the companies that will always drive me crazy. It's like omnibus means this, and this company it means something completely different for Dark Horse.
Yeah. No, it says chronological order inside. Maybe I misread that when I was looking at this because it does end, but it does end with Hellboy in Hell. Yeah, which was the last thing they did. So all the BPRD and all the weird stuff, they don't count. This is just the normal Hellboy Mignola stuff.
Okay.
Ryan, I took advantage of our friend the internet to answer that question we just left hanging. Roger Stern was one of the writers on Death of Superman. I always think of that as a Dan Jurgens and Louise Simonson, but he was in on that as well, and he also wrote the novelization of that story.
Okay, it's because it was all the writers wrote it, right? So anyone that was writing those titles, but yeah, I couldn't remember if he was writing it and kept writing through that, or if it ended, or if he. But
the stuff he was writing before Death of Superman is what I was talking about earlier, and that's really good stuff and worth finding.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say buy those. But the answer is buy the library editions because those things are amazing and they're so cheap. Like comparatively, those things are way.
Wait, what does cheap mean in this case?
They're $50 for those giant library edition oversized hardcovers, like kind of like faux, not like leather, but like kind of a cool cover, they're kind
of like clothy.
Yeah, like those are incredible.
And this one gets the Charlie seal of approval.
Oh, Dark Horse's hardcovers are, for the price and the quality, are the best hardcovers on the market. Honestly,
I concur.
Wow. Good thing I haven't been spending any money. I could dive in and get some hardcovers.
The Buffy and Angel hardcovers are awesome until they went out of print.
Yeah, and I mean, they still do some of the library editions. I mean, they've been doing the Avatar and Korra stuff for a long time now. They've done like Aliens, Umbrella Academy, Black Hammer. I mean, they put out phenomenal hardcovers.
Weren't Tomb Raiders Dark Horse also? The archive ones?
Yeah.
Yep.
The ones I missed out on, they're super expensive now. Thanks a lot. Put them back in print, please.
Yeah, but they started out... they started out very affordable.
They're super affordable.
Yeah, they're like $30 no, the Tomb Raider were like 50, right?
Yeah, but I should have definitely just bought them then. I don't know why I was sitting on it for so long, and before you knew it, they're just gone. So please,
Oh, I mean, so I didn't sit on those like Toby did, but I only got like the first two. And of course, like they did a 3 and 4 that I never got around to getting, so I'm now kicking myself for the 3 and 4.
So what you're saying, Charlie, is when we go to the cons one day again, I need to run 2 steps in front of you because we'll be hunting for the same books.
I would just settle for the fact, if you will actually go around looking at hardcovers and stuff with me, I'll let you have first dibs on those.
Wow.
Such a nice friend. Such a nice friend. No, that's only because you know you're gonna see it before I do, just because of your height. And you're like signaling to the guy, like, those are mine already.
Got a couple of Twitter questions that we're going to wrap up. It's from Stefano. He says, anyone use this lack of new releases to try to catch up with monthlies? If so, what titles? And anything you decided to add or drop as a result? I am current and making my way through my backlog. I read like half a long box of New 52 comics, okay? Like, I am making progress. It's great. But now new comics are starting to ship again. But it's a smaller amount, so I've still got a few months. I'll do some catch up. To get some work done. And I sorted all my Legion of Superheroes comics. I read them one day, but, I sorted them. That's the important part.
No, I mean, I'm not reading any sort of monthlies directly. I've been reading some of my omnibuses, especially the X-Men Claremont omnibuses I have. I've been meaning to read those again for a long time, so
nice.
I've been doing that. But I've also been using the DC Universe app to catch up on some books that I fell way behind on. Yep. And earning those rewards points.
Well, you were doing a lot of your reading of the singles in the store, but you're now at the point where you're the perfect person for Marvel Unlimited and DC Universe.
Yeah, I am absolutely the perfect person for that right now.
So that's great. That's great to see that those are still going, because I know a lot of people. It's hard to stay current. Trust me, it's tough.
I'm almost caught up with my stuff. I just need to do a little bit. I have like maybe a handful of books left that I haven't finished reading, and then the books that come out this week, which aren't very many. So
yeah, I have lots of other random stuff from the last 6 months.
Like I have some facsimiles and dollars that I need to check out, and the Giants that I need to read the two issues. Two stories that are meaningful. But for the majority of my books, I've basically kind of. I'm almost caught up. As for the next part of his question, is there anything I'm dropping because of all this? I mean, there's stuff I think it's just if it comes out, it comes out. If I miss it, it doesn't. I don't think it matters at that point. But we'll see.
From Dan, he says, "You guys worried about Marvel's output?" Until mid-July, it's too little, and he plans to supplement that lost income. I mean, Marvel is taking it maybe a little too slow. Like, they are releasing over the course of 6 or 8 weeks, 2 weeks worth of titles. But, whatever. Marvel will come back. I can't believe I'm ever going to complain about Marvel releasing too little product. It's 99.
It's way more product than Marvel was releasing last month.
Well, I was going to say, let me rephrase that. 100% of the time, it's complaining about Marvel releasing too much product. So, no, I mean, invoices will be low. That's fine. We're ordering low. I'm not until we are open, for people to come in. And even then, I'm still going to keep our orders low because I don't know what the walk-in crowd's going to look like. We're just trying to, just keep those invoices low and get stuff paid off quick. And I think it'll be fun. It's from Michael, who says, tonight was supposed to be Death Metal's midnight release. What are some of your favorite and least favorite midnight release parties? We've done quite a few of them. They were good. They've been fun. We did let's see, what have we done? We did Doomsday Clock. We did Metal.
We did Metal.
We did one without you.
You guys did Rebirth.
Yeah.
We did Fantastic Four.
We did the new 52 switch over,
right, just the Justice League, right? We did Walking Dead 100.
Yeah.
That was a cool one. I brought all my old copies of Walking Dead to the store and put up a little display. That was neat. I liked that. That was fun. We did Uncanny Avengers. That was Marvel's first big relaunch. Obviously, the subsequent ones did not quite work as well, but that was big. We had a lot of people come in for that. Mm-hmm. New 52 has to have been probably the biggest one, though. Yeah, I feel like that had to be the biggest one.
Well,
yeah,
it was.
I would assume so.
It felt like the biggest one, but it wasn't the biggest amount of comics. Remember, they did that.
Which was the one where you held out the phone, like Bendis was calling?
Scott Snyder called during Metal. Bendis called during Action Comics 1000.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe it was the Scott one I was thinking of.
Here's a question. I'm like 90% sure this is the right answer, so I'm gonna go with it. What was the first midnight release we did? It may have really been like the first midnight release comic. I can't remember one prior. What was the first midnight release comic we did? Do you remember? It is not a Marvel or DC superhero title.
It was at the old shop, though.
It was at the old shop.
Dark Tower?
Yep. Dark Tower.
No
Charlie
way.
got it. The Stephen King one.
That was a midnight release?
Yep, for number one. If there was a midnight release prior to that, I am drawing a blank. I'm pretty sure because Stephen King's books often had midnight releases, and that's why they did it to like try to get like his crowd in for that Dark Tower comic.
Kickstarted it.
That was good. We had a big turnout for that too. That was good. It was a good time.
Do any of you guys watch Lock and Key yet?
No, I need to.
Yeah,
I need to. It's on my list.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah, I already watched all of it.
What you think?
I liked it. I mean, it made the updates from the book that it needed to make, but it was very good. I liked it.
Okay.
Final question.
Oh.
Final question.
Final question.
Final question. I lost it. Or was it? It was right here. Here we go. This is from Tachyon Transmitter on Twitter. It says, not sure I've ever heard you guys talk about Star Wars comics before. Any favorites? Shadow of the Empire or Dark Empire were some of my first comic experience. It made a big impact on me. I enjoy a lot of the Marvel work, but Dark Horse had more variety on tones and styles. I mean, Dark Empire was huge for everyone, probably for all of us. Yeah. I have to assume.
Yeah,
Dark Empire was gigantic.
Oh, I never read it.
Like, Dark Empire? Oh, really?
I never read it either, Toby.
Wait, isn't that a book by Timothy Zahn?
Yeah.
Wait, but are we talking comics or are we talking books right now?
Yeah, the comics.
Yeah.
Wait, they did comics off the books? Because I read the book. I love the book.
No, the Dark Empire was the first Dark Horse Star Wars comic.
It wasn't a book?
I mean, I'm sure there was a book version of Dark Empire.
Wait,
so
hold on.
I like Dark Empire and I like Legacy a lot.
I think I'm thinking Hair of the Empire.
Heir of the Empire was a novel.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dark Empire was the comic.
But is it on the same story or storyline?
No.
Oh.
No.
Okay, I'm thinking of Hair of the Empire.
Yeah, Timothy Zahn. Yeah, the Heir of the Empire was the Timothy Zahn books.
Yeah.
That's the Thrawn trilogy. Yep.
But no, I like Dark Empire and I like Legacy, but I think for me a large part of it is the fact that it feels like, okay, here is a chunk of story that sort of stands alone by itself. I feel like a lot of the ongoing series, I can kind of understand why somebody wouldn't get as attached to the 100 issues of Vader or the 100 issues.
Yeah.
Like, I think those stories work really, really well because they're a little more contained.
Is Dark Empire the Mara Jade stuff?
No, she's in Heir, I believe. Does she come in Heir of the Empire? I can't remember where Mara Jade gets introduced. I don't remember. My Star Wars knowledge is not what it used to be.
Is that on Epic Collection, Brock? Or maybe I shouldn't know.
Mm-hmm. All the Dark Horse stuff
is on. All that stuff is in those Epic collections. They're going back and collecting all of the Dark Horse stuff. They even went into collecting the like newspaper strips and all that stuff.
Well, I missed all of that stuff, so I may have to go back and read them. So maybe I have to add more Epic collections to my list.
So Mara Jade shows up in Heir to the Empire, the novel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then that's what Heir of the Empire is, the novel. I think they did a comic adaptation of that too. But yeah, I read a lot of the Dark Horse stuff early. I didn't keep up with the last maybe 5 years. There were 8 years or so at Dark Horse, but I read a lot of the early stuff in the 90s. I read some of the Marvel stuff, but I didn't get too far in it. It's just, there's so many books. I just got so burned out.
So
but I've heard mostly good things about the Marvel stuff.
Yeah, the new Marvel stuff I've read a majority of it, but I kind of just teetered off just because, reading so much stuff. But the relaunch of Star Wars at Marvel was really amazing. Both Darth Vader runs have been really good. Poe Dameron is fun. Dr. Aphra's interesting and quirky. And they've had a bunch of, miniseries and one-shots that have been entertaining. But they do cross with the other media a lot more so than I think the Dark Horse stuff and the Dark Horse stuff or the earlier Marvel stuff did. Because there's a lot of stuff that shows, like if you're reading the novels, stuff that shows up in the novels will actually show up in the comics, or stuff that's in the comics will show up in the novels. Like the current connection thing is like the Alphabet Squadron. There's supposed to be this kind of pseudo crossover between the books and the comics. So, but yeah, I mean, I think
it's all connected now. Yeah,
I think they've done a really good job now of connecting everything. Before, I think it was just we were getting stories in the Star Wars universe that were expanding what we knew of Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't there a good one with the 2 stormtroopers that was a funny book?
Yeah, Tag and Bank.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good. And before we leave, breaking news, Jim Lee's 37th sketch is the Sally Jupiter Silk Spectre from Watchmen. So,
ooh, nice.
One day maybe.
Hey, I am definitely getting the book.
Hey, I asked Toby and Lane of all the sketches that he's released so far, which is now up to, is he at the halfway point now, or he's over it? Okay, yeah.
Past it, yeah. So
if you could have one of them for free, which one would you take?
Death. Done. Done.
It's tough. I like that Bat Hound a lot. I like that Ace. I like that Ace a lot.
You know what my biggest pleasant surprise, and I'm not saying I would pick this as my picture, I can't believe somebody chose the composite Superman as one of the characters.
Oh,
that was so
that's
fantastic.
Fantastic.
If somebody would just pick Mr. Mind, like classic Mr. Mind.
Matter Eater Lad.
Just be honest, that's the one you would pick, man. You've been talking about that one a lot.
What?
No, Kevin, the composite Superman.
Oh, yeah.
That's a nice Silk Spectre, though.
Yeah.
You haven't answered your own question, Kevin. Which one would you get?
Well, since everybody else chose Death, maybe that Sandman one from early on, or the Dead. I really like the Dead Man also, with the faces in the background.
Yeah, that was actually an homage to
the Neil Adams cover. Yeah,
the Neil Adams cover.
Yeah.
I have to take a look when it's all done, but I still think the Red Rain one might be the best. The Batman Red Rain cover with Catwoman. That is a fantastic cover. He has scaled back a little bit, and now he's doing some like homage pieces because he's like, I have to do some head sketches. It's too much work.
Yeah.
he talked about it on the DC Daily Show. He's like, this has become a much bigger project than I anticipated, but I like doing it.
Yeah,
so.
The Sandman and the Endless.
Probably that or Dead Man is what I would pick.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all for listening to our wonderful podcast, but it's time for us to go. We have to thank our wonderful Patreon backers, such as Joe Duff, Andrew Nelson Mendez at Recovery of an Anime Junkie podcast, Craig Anderson over at CraigPAnderson.com, who has moved a lot of comic book boxes and has had movers move a lot of comic book boxes. So, not a true comic book fan, according to Toby, but what are you going to do? James Laws.
Hey, you love
Jimmy
something,
Rivera.
you don't trust it with anybody, man.
Jimmy Rivera at the Social Forum podcast, Jesse Peterson at the Comic Book Matters podcast, Mr. Rama at Hellboy_ebooks on Twitter. He has his weekly pull list every week. So you can go check out his list. And then Chav. What's that?
Challenging Brock on a weekly pull list.
And then Chav. Thank you guys all for your support at patreon.com/comicconspiracy. If you head over to comicconspiracypodcast.com, geekbox.net, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, you can find all our previous episodes on there. Please rate and review us if you can. If you go over to YouTube, youtube.com/comicsconspiracy, all our previous episodes are up there as well, just in audio format. Those long questions, longer than 280 characters, can go to the Comic Conspiracy at geekbox.net.
Yes, they can.
Read those.
They can go there.
They can go there.
They can't go there.
They'll never be seen again, but they can go there.
They'll go into a
Oh, no, they
folder.
get seen again in about 10 years, or 5, or 7, or on an anniversary episode.
Comicsconspiracy.biz is where you can buy your physical comic books from us for mail order. We are starting to get new shipments again. Of course, if you're a subscriber, you can pay for them on Comic Hub, but if you want to add on anything, and if your shop closed during all this and is not reopening or whatever, we're more than happy to sell you some comics, although our numbers for a while are going to be pretty light for shelf copies, but we can always try to get you books. So comicsconspiracy.biz. Brock is at conspiratorbrock.com for his blog video, for his blog unboxing videos and his pull list videos. You can check him out there. Charlie's at the Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension podcast, Doctor Who podcast. You can check out all the doctors, all 13 of them. 14? Or that's a 14 now.
All depends if you
and
count the
LeanneHill.com.
Doctor or not.
All right. LeanneHill.com. You can pick up some art from my wife Leanne and her Etsy shop at etsy.com/shop/LeanneHillArt. I am on Twitter as Ryan Higgins. Ryan. Brock is Brock Sager. Toby is Toby XI. Charlie's Insanity and Chaos. Kevin is that Kevin Sharp. The store is Comics Con Store. And please listen to the Geek Box. The hell did we talk about last night? Oh yeah, we talked about how wait, what the hell did we talk about last
How
night?
Xbox tanked their thing.
We talked about that a little bit. I think we mostly just talked about how the 50-50 physical digital split on Animal Crossing, like crazy ass sales on Animal Crossing.
Are you on
and
Animal Crossing?
Yeah, of course. Like what the hell?
Did you friend? Oh, I don't even remember his name. There's so many people.
Everyone plays Animal Crossing. And of course, Manga Machinations. You can go listen to that, talk about anime and manga over there. Some of our good friends have been on that a few times. So
I got one shout out.
Shout out.
Yes, there's a shout
Let's
out.
hear it.
It's very important. I want to shout out Wildcat Nerd on Twitter at thegage81. He finished all of our podcasts after a year.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm curious when people do that because I would love a list from the first 200 episodes of shit we said that was proven just totally wrong. But more importantly, stuff that I got totally right. So
It doesn't even have to be the first 200 episodes. I think it's all.
I'm just imagining that
just,
person listening to all those words, all these news stories that, and this breaking news.
Oh yeah, they're not even new. They're not.
Yeah.
yeah.
He's spoiled, right? He knows stuff that's not really it's gonna get. You guys have no idea.
Knows how it all turned out.
Yeah.
That's half the
It
fun.
must have
That's half
been
the fun.
either.
And they didn't stop listening when Omar was on. So there you go. They made it all the way through the Omar episodes.
Wow, yeah.
But apparently
strength.
he hates it now because he has to wait for a podcast every week like everybody else.
Well, that's what happens.
He pulled a Charlie with the Doctor Who podcast where he caught up, and now he has to wait for new content.
And I have to wait, yeah. Eventually have to wait. All right. Thank you all for listening. We'll be back next week with a new episode. Goodbye.